let us start with the first basic component, that is the propellant. Now, what do the propellant do? The propellants put the pressure onto the contents, okay, or that is the formulation, and helps the product expel out of the actuator, okay, in the form of the vapor. So these are the propellant. If you, whatever you see in blue, these are the propellant. This blue, this part of blue is nothing but a liquid propellant, okay. Above that is the gaseous propellant, okay. This liquid propellant has converted into gas, how that we are going to see further, okay. And here you have the product. This product may also contain propellant inside it, okay. So are you understanding? So this is the propellant system. What this propellant system does is, when you press this actuator, okay, a pressure is getting applied through this propellant onto this product, and this product is thrown out of this the dip tube, through the valve, through the actuator, okay, in the form of the fine mist, okay, in the form of aerosol, okay. Are you understanding? So this propellant is very important system because it develops the proper pressure and the contents are getting released, okay. So this pressure is very important for the performance of your aerosol. This performance is of your aerosol, okay, or this pressure of an aerosol, which is critical, is controlled by two things. It is controlled by the type and the amount of propellant, okay. So what is the type of the propellant? We are going to see the different types of propellant, okay, further. And what is the amount of propellant that is present, and it also depends upon what is the nature and the amount of product concentrate, okay. So it depends upon, so this pressure depends upon two things. So once you apply this pressure, okay, then this drug content are thrown out, right? So we said that the what do you call that, the pressure of an aerosol, okay, is controlled by the type and amount of propellant. So what are the different types of propellant? Type 1 propellant, also known as propellant A, are nothing but liquefied gas. There are two types again. You have one as fluorinated hydrocarbons, or you have second as hydrocarbons. Fluorinated hydrocarbons are usually used for oral and for inhalation, and hydrocarbons are basically used in case of topical pharmaceutical aerosols for topical application. The second type of aerosols are known as propellant B, okay, and they are made up of compressed gas, okay. So when you have liquefied gas, and second type you have is the compressed gas propellant. So liquefied gas propellant and compressed gas propellant. Let us see the first type, that is the liquefied gas, okay. Now what is liquefied gas? You know LPG very well, isn't it? What is LPG? The gas that you use, the cylinder that contains your liquefied gas, okay, which you use for cooking. It is also nothing but it is a liquefied gas, okay. So what is this liquefied gas? It consists of mixture of the liquefied gases. So it consists of the mixture of your propellants. It exists as liquid under pressure, okay. So when it is under pressure, it exists as liquid. As soon as the pressure is getting released, it converts into gas, okay. It acts as a dual role, it performs dual role. It acts as a propellant also. This liquefied gas, okay, propellant, they act in two ways. It acts as a propellant also, or it may act as a solvent or a vehicle also. So your drug may be mixed with your propellant, and they may be filled inside the container, okay. So it acts as a solvent also, it acts as a vehicle also, or it can act only as a propellant also. Now when this liquefied gas propellant, they are put inside this container, okay, along with the product concentrate, there is an equilibrium that has been established. Okay, equilibrium is quickly established. Okay, whereby some of your propellant, okay, remains in the liquid form. So here this is the propellant which is liquid, remaining in the liquid form, whereas some of this propellant now gets vaporized and remains in the vapor form. Okay, and it occupies the upper portion, okay, of your container. Are you getting me? So once you fill this product, upon that you fill your liquefied propellant, okay, and you close the container from top. So what is going to happen? A equilibrium is going to establish, and if there is some what you call that, some pressure is not been there, some vacuum is there, okay, then this liquid propellant, okay, as the pressure is less, it is going to get converted immediately into the vapor, and it is going to remain over here. So you have a vapor phase over here, you have a liquid propellant over here, and you have a product over here, and this product may also contain your propellant, right? So this is how your propellant gets distributed. Now this propellant exists in the form of liquid because now there is a pressure which is being exerted. So there is a pressure inside this container, and because of this pressure, this propellant exists in the form of liquid. As soon as, okay, as soon as you press this actuator or this valve is operated, okay, what is going to happen? As soon as this, let me take the annotation, yeah, as soon as you press this valve, okay, or this actuator, what is going to happen? It is going to exert the pressure onto this system, propellant system, onto the product, and the product is going to pass through this dip tube, okay, and it is going to come out. As soon as the level of the product, as it comes out, as the product comes out, the level of the product is going to drop, okay. So it is going to drop, this level of the propellant product is going to drop from year to year, and a space is going to be created. As soon as the space is getting created, the pressure is getting decreased inside. As soon as the pressure gets decreased, this liquid propellant, okay, is now going to convert into the gaseous propellant, and it is going to occupy the space, and again the equilibrium is going to get established, right? Again this process is going to get continued, whereby this product is going to get expelled slowly and steadily. This liquid propellant is going to get converted into vapor propellant, and the pressure inside is getting developed continuously. Now this pressure of the propellant, where all it is exerting is pressure, okay. So this vapor phase is exerting pressure onto the container, right? So this is the container, onto the container it is exerting the pressure on the walls of the container. It is exerting this pressure on the valve assembly. This is the valve assembly, right? Starting from the top up to down, up to the dip tube. This whole is the valve assembly. It is exerting the pressure on the valve assembly, and it is also exerting the pressure on this liquefied gas. So this is the liquefied gas. So this vapor is exerting its pressure on the liquefied gas, and further onto the product also, right? Are you understanding? So this is how your liquefied gas propellant act, okay. They act once you put the pressure, the pressure is exerted on the product, the product is getting removed, okay, because there is a pressure over here. So the product is getting removed. As the product gets removed, there is a pressure drop. As soon as there is a pressure drop, this liquefied petroleum now gets converted into vapor. Again the pressure is being developed. As the pressure is being developed, this liquefied petroleum is now not going to get converted into vapor further, okay, and slowly and steadily the product is getting removed upon each actuation, right? Now let us see the examples of some of the liquefied gases, okay. One of them is are chlorofluorocarbons, okay. One of the type is chlorofluorocarbons. As as the name suggests, it consists of chlorine groups, it consists of fluorine, and it contains of carbon. Okay. So example of them are this is one of the example, that is trichloro, consists of 3 chloro group, trichloro, monofluoro, okay, one fluorine group, and this is nothing but a methane. So it consists of trichloro, monofluoro, methane. The second example is, just give me 2 minutes. I'm very sorry, the battery is draining, so I have to put my charger. Just give me 2 minutes for it. So the first example we said was trichloro monofluoromethane. The second example of chlorofluorocarbon is, this is dichloro, okay, containing 2 chlorine group, difluoro containing 2 fluorine group, okay, over here, and this is nothing but a methane. So it is dichloro difluoromethane. Okay. The third type is difluoro, difluoro. So these are 2 chlorine group, tetrafluoro and ethane. Okay. So these are some of the example which consist of, these are known as chlorofluorocarbons, right? They are also called as propellant 1,1, propellant 1,2, or propellant 1,1,4. This numerical designation is known as the XYZ system. Okay, this is not called as propellant 011, it is propellant 11. I just put this 0 for your understanding. Okay, so this is propellant 11, propellant 012, propellant 114. This nomenclature is known as XYZ kind of a nomenclature, where X represents the number of carbon atom minus 1, Y represents number of hydrogen atom plus 1, and Z represents number of fluorine atoms. Okay, so propellant 011 or propellant 11, here if it is propellant 11, then you have to understand there are 3 XYZ, so you have to put a 0 over here, so it becomes propellant 011. You have to add 1 over here and you get the number of carbon atom. You have to subtract 1 from here, you will get the number of hydrogen atom, and this is equivalent to the number of fluorine atom. So number of carbon atom are going to become, this you are going to, if you add this number of carbon atom becomes, the number of carbon atom is going to become, this you add, it becomes 1 over here. The number of hydrogen atom, you subtract 1 from here, becomes 0. Okay, so this is the number of hydrogen atom, and number of fluorine atom comes as 1, right? So there is 1 carbon atom and there is 1 fluorine atom in this 011. Is it there? So you have 1 carbon atom over here and you have 1 fluorine atom over here, isn't it? So this is 1 carbon atom and 1 fluorine atom. Okay, and not this things, even if you forget it, it is no problem, it is given in the literature. You should understand how this nomenclature came, that's why I'm explaining you. Okay, even the structures, they are easy to remember. If you are able to remember the structure, you will be able to remember these names. Okay, and if you are directly able to remember the names, no need of remembering the structure, no need of drawing the structure. These structures I have just drawn so that you can remember the names of this propellant. Okay, you can remember the examples of this propellant, otherwise the structures are not that much important. Okay, so these are some of the examples of chlorofluorocarbons, that is trichloro monofluoro methane, difluoromethane, and dichlorotetrafluoroethane. These are some of the examples of your chlorofluorocarbons. Now they have some basic advantages and disadvantages. What are the advantages? Now these chlorofluorocarbons are very highly preferred propellants. That's why we have taken them as in the beginning. Okay, what are the advantage? First and the major advantages, they are chemically inert. Second advantage, they lack toxicity. Third major advantage, they are non-flammable. And as they are non-flammable, therefore they lack explosiveness. And they are a propellant of choice for oral inhalation. And because they are non-toxic in nature, they are inert in nature. Okay, that's why they are a choice for oral as well as inhalation aerosols. Okay. Now there are some disadvantages. One of the disadvantages, it is the high cost. Okay, and the second major disadvantage that it had was, apart from costs, that it depletes the ozone layer. Okay, that's why it is environmentally not good, and thereby, okay, as it depletes the ozone layer, that's why the UV radiations are going to reach the earth, and they may increase the incidence of skin cancer also, right? So these aerosols are preferred only and only if these these propellants are preferred only and only if the product that you are giving along with is showing substantial health benefit. Okay, and these health benefits cannot be seen by other propellants. Okay, so these propellants are showing substantial health benefit. Okay, and when given along with the product, and these kinds of benefit, if are not seen by any other propellant, then and then only you are going to prefer your CFC propellant. Okay, otherwise, because of the hazardous nature, it has not been preferred. Hence, whenever you are giving a medicament, okay, through oral route or through inhalation route, okay, that is the time you prefer these kinds of propellant, that is CFC propellant, chlorofluorocarbon propellants. Otherwise, you prefer, if you are giving the what you call that preparation through topical routes, okay, that time you usually prefer hydrocarbon type of propellant. Okay, so what are hydrocarbon types of propellant? As I said earlier, these are used for the topical pharmaceutical aerosols. So when you are giving the product to topical route, okay, that is the time when you are giving the aerosols to topical route, then you prefer your hydrocarbon kind of an aerosols, because they are environmentally more acceptable. They do not cause the depletion of the ozone layer, as well as they also have low toxicity, and they also have non-reactivity. Now they are also useful for making three-phase, okay, aerosols. That is because their density is very less than 1%, hence they are immiscible with water. As they are immiscible with water, that's why three-phase aerosols can be easily prepared from it. Then these hydrocarbons remain on the top of the aqueous layer, right, and provides the force to pitch the contents. They do not contain any halogen, and as they do not contain any halogen, so hydrolysis does not occur. Okay, if you take the fluorinated propellants, okay, this fluorine, they reacts with water and gives a mixture of oxygen gas and HF. Okay, so hence fluorinated what call that propellants are not preferred when water is present, whereas hydrocarbon propellants can be easily given along with waters. Okay, some of the advantages, they are inexpensive. If you see CFC, they were expensive in nature. They are excellent solvent. Okay, and they do not cause ozone depletion, right? Disadvantages over here are they are flammable and they can explode. Okay, and some of them are having toxicity. Okay, examples of these hydrocarbons are propane, isobutane, and butane. These are some of the propellants that are being used. Okay, let us move on to the next type of propellant, that is compressed gas propellants. Okay, Now compressed gas propellants are directly present in the gaseous form. Okay, if you saw liquid propellants, then liquefied gas propellants, then liquefied gas propellants were present in liquid form under pressure, and when the pressure is released, they were present in your gaseous form. Whereas compressed gas propellants, they are present in gaseous form only. So there is one layer of gaseous propellant, right? And the gases that are being used are nitrogen. You can use nitrous oxide or carbon dioxide. So these are the three gases that are used in your compressed gas propellant as a compressed gas propellant. Okay, they are useful for products that are dispensed in the form of fine mist, in the form of foam, or in the form of semi-solids. Okay, now the expansion ratio is quite low with this kind of propellant, that you can imagine. The expansion ratios are low, and because of this, okay, the sprays are fairly wet and the foams are not as stable as that produced by your liquefied gas propellant. Okay, the second thing that you have to remember is these compressed gas are insoluble in product concentrate. Okay, example nitrogen, etc. Right, and it will emit the product concentrate essentially in the same form as it is placed inside the container. So if you have liquid, then it is going to emit in the form of liquid only, right? Like in case of CFC, you had emulsion, and this emulsion was emitted in the form of foam. Here this does not happen. It is just a gas. It is going to press on this kind of product, and it is going to get emitted. The next thing that you have to remember over here is, once you press this gas, once the product is getting released, the pressure inside the container, it is decreased. In the earlier case, in liquefied gas, once you are applying the pressure and once the product was getting released, okay, once the product level was falling down, this liquefied gas was converting into this liquefied gas was containing into gaseous form, vapor form, and it was applying the headspace over here. That is not happening over here. As soon as you remove the product, the compressed gas is going to, this compressed gas, the same amount of compressed gas is now going to occupy this much of level. Hence the pressure that is getting applied slowly and steadily, it diminishes. Okay, so over here at this time, the pressure is maximum. As the product level falls down till here, it is the pressure applied by the compressed gas is going to decrease. As it falls down over here, the pressure that is applied by the compressed gas still decrease, and once it falls down till here, the pressure is quite minimum in nature. Okay, this compressed gas contains in the headspace of the container, and it is applying the pressure on the product, right? It has no propellant reservoir as liquefied gas propellant. So that's what I was telling you. So the pressure diminishes as the product is used. As soon as you go on increasing the product from year to year and from year to year, as you go on decreasing, as the product goes on decreasing, the pressure also goes on decreasing, right? Examples are nitrogen. It is advantages are, it is odorless, it is tasteless, and it is inert. It protects your product from oxidation. Okay, and slightly soluble gases in liquid phase of, it is slightly soluble in the liquid phase of your aerosol. Okay, the second example is your carbon dioxide or nitrous oxide. It is used for dispensing your foam product.